featured writer is a three-time Ludabi Award winner and has won the Umpios Award Gawad Balagtas in 1999 and is currently living here in Pangdan, Naga, Cebu. It is none other than Mr. Temistokles Adlawan. When and how did you start writing?
It was a time that I think, looking back now, was not the proper time because it happened during the war. And I was sickly somewhere because we were evacuated to Mindanao by the father of the family, our father, by Frail Bangka from somewhere, Pook, Talisay. We were then 7 families in that Bangka. We were even arrested by the guerrillas in Lupisayna. When the Bangka arrived there, nalinawan mga Bangka. There was also almost everybody was whistling for the wind, pero no wind came. So ang Bangka nag-urong, ang gidakop sa guerrilla to, labay na mga kwarta sapon. Pero murong niguay labot istorya. So kanang when did I start writing? I was about 12 to 13 years old when I began to realize that I was beginning to know whether or to say whether a Barayulas was pretty or not. Because there was no pencil at the time. Who would sell pencil during the war? We could even hardly eat. There was no pencil, no paper. I sharpened I used to sharpen when I was cutting these kamuti leaves because our mother would, being the eldest, so I was always open to the number of errands, whatever mother would think. So every time I was sent to the kamutihan, not our kamutihan, somebody else kamutihan, because we don't know who was the owner, because almost everyone were, they left the road, they abandoned the road, we took over like hermit crabs. The people there, they evacuated their own, evacuated also to their own places of choice. So, katos kamutihan, hunahuna ko, nakabasa ko ang istorya ng Marcel sa mga gubat pa. Murag, ganahan kayo ko ba? I really love the sound of words, Bisayan words, Cebuano words. So, pag in English na to nga, quinto grado ba ko, human sa gubat. So, Bisayan. I used to read poems in pre-war publications. Lamdag. Di na ako kinumdum na kayo, basta I still remember, although it's somewhere very far now in my memory, pero I still remember, I was reading. Poem ko, nang basa kayo mga baligyag buwak, sa karin at sa niyo. Kuan, karaan pas kampo nga mga poem. Uno, rhyme. Rhyme, measured, sa Bisayon. So, I wanted to follow. I imitated. I wrote whatever words I could think of. I scratched on the bawk. Kani puno as lugbe. Puno as palwa. You see that powdery substance? Yeah, inig-scratch mo. Mo appear ang green kay makawat man. Oh, I curve my words on the bawk of the base of the banana petiole. Ano, ato dito magsuwat-suwat ko. Nonsense ko, basta kay all adjectives. Beautiful, pretty. All. They go to poem. But the question is, when did I start writing? Well, I would consider that was the time I started. Because it got into my head. Without, of course, the idea of getting published. Who would publish? And, so sa pag-publish nga, gibberish to. So, I started that way. Now, when I was in high school, doon naman ay formal terms. Still, there was formal term under the English subject. Gusto ko. I really love to compose. I even attended at poesy. Without really thinking to get published, when I got employed when I dropped out from college, because I was dropped out, lisod kayo mong kinabuhi, 12 ko niya. We were 12. Yeah. Our fathers, so our parents' source of livelihood was only showing, kaingin here, kaingin. When I dropped out of college, so I was older na. I was really trying to, maybe that was already writing, but it could not be accepted. In my own terms lang, writing na to, I exerted effort in compiling the source, gathering the source. No editor would publish it. Nonsense man, yeah. Puro lang kuan. All description, all in praise of, especially, by the way, Hope, my favorite subject is pure poems, love poems. Mulutaw gina ko niya, kanang kiat yun, kanang kiat. Kana bang, giingon ni, kanang giingon resil nga, kanisi Irni o si Tim, mga komedyante gini, pero not in the level of Yoyoy Villame. Nang arang gamay, nang taas gamay, kan level. Humorist na mga to. Mao gini pong ni Rizal katong diha pa Rizal sa Sansa niya, may kolom siya nga kuan. Literary ang kolom niya. Humor na mo, ray humor na mo ani Erning. Lipay sa be. Mo nang ang akong most of my stories na agi dapit nga I would imagine nga if somebody reads this, I doubt if they won't laugh with me as they go along kan story. Kay inigsuwat ko tan-aw ko murag na komedya. Kanang bisag poem. Mo na yung kuan. Sorry. Speech habit na did I not answer that? Ano mo question?
Yes.
You said this rivalry, this cursing, this code switching, this kanang sa term mo ana. No. Cursing. Our speech habit na din eh. Our speech should not be picturesque unless we employ the words kanang piste yawa. Ingon ana. Part of speech na, habit of speech. Speech habit na mo din eh. Sa ubang dapit dili kayo. Kani among kuan. Kato akong man mo to. Naagi na. Murag decoration sa kuan ba. Ya empathic ang speech, ya picturesque kayo sa amo pamino. Lutaw ang batasan sa lugar, ang ethos, ang kustumbre. Yeah, the way we live. This is literature. Money literature. Lutaw. It's not mere story. Ang history mo record mo lang. It does not delve into the ethos, the custom, the practices of people in a certain locality. It is literature that digs that out. Money literature. That's why my dialogue is so pedestrian. The way people speak. The way the folk speak. When I write, when the setting is in street corners, tricycle, lingua, I have that obsession to always if possible, to achieve very similitude. Lutaw yan.
What do you think is the role of a writer?
Ugway writer, no? Saan ka na ito pagkibaw nga na Biblia? Ang kasuat Biblia, writer yun, hasta na Quran. How would we know what the world was before we were born? It's the work of the writer. The writer writes history. The writer writes poem for beautiful ladies, for ugly women, for the witches, for the dragons. Writers write poems about dragons, flying trapeze, everything. On the rule writer. We will forget what we won't know how our forefathers were if there were no writers.
Sir, what is inspiration?
Inspiration for me is the fuel. That's the propelling force. That inspiration. When a writer does not like to write, yes, at that moment, he was not inspired. A writer can go on with writing, even how long the novel would be, for as long as there is that inspiration. What is an inspiration? Oh, anything. Anything that makes the subject of what you write. Kung naibuno na, that's your impression. You write about that. There is somebody murdering, there is somebody shooting, there is somebody killed. That's the impression, inspiration. It is the force that drives a writer to survive writing. Okay, it's a tedious writing. Writing is a field of work where you don't know that time has overtaken you. While you're chasing that elusive word which you think was the best word at the moment, you will chasing that word around your head. You will not know whether time has already overtaken you. That's writing. Di kana nga ubang writer, nabuang na ganyan tungod yung sikip panikop dito sa kwan. They go into the deepest recesses of their minds, exploring for the gold of words there. Nabuang lang na uban. Have you heard of people going crazy? I often heard that. So that when I was in new fight, very new fight, sunod kang buang, sunod kang buang ni. Daghanan buang ana. May pa maglubos ka. You go to the cave, look for this talisman. You will be an arbularyo, rasyon. May pa maglubos ka, ay nagswat, daghanan buang na swat, kay pas mo, way kwarta. Kuandigan, if you have this writer's blood in you, nothing can stop you, even if you cannot eat. We don't survive by writing here in the Philippines. In the words of other writers, it's starving profession. You might as well plant kamote, you can sell kamote. Suppose your work is not accepted by the editor. If you want really to get printed, so, magka-frustration mo. Daghan kay bahas, dugo, luhas, akong kalidman nangagas kay inig reject sa editor. Ug dili bisag suwat lang. Love letter ya balibara na bay. Ular makadugo atong kalidman. You bleed inside.
What are your usual subjects in your short stories and poems?
Most of my stories are love stories. Kana di ka na ko kay inconsistent man ko. I've said that so many times. When I want to be persistent. What's that? What's the word? Coherent. Consistent. That's it. Pero ang akong nakakuan, most of the stories that one, dili be a love story. Situations. That's why kato si Mahan, gilabay akong istorya ho. This is the same story. Hey, look, tricycle again. Tricycle. If not tricycle, babay. Ug di babay, tricycle. Ug gilabay. Gilabay istorya kay prejudice naman siya. Natag-anan yun. Awa sa, di malasan siya. Na-surprise pa nila. Na-praise ako. Hala.
Yeah, Tay. What do you think, Tay, is your greatest contribution to Cebuano literature? Poetry or Cebuano?
In the form already of kanang writing, kanang short story or poetry.
Poetry.
No, if I count the number of kind of writings I had, murag daghan ang I had written more stories than poems. Until now, I have to appreciate how this should be a poem. There is so the world as universe is so narrow to move around. With a story, move around. You have been a novel. You have a very wide area to move around. Although, what is being your stamina, your spirit is being tested in the novel because of its length. Some suat novel, biyaan na lang kay pulaan dili. Pulaan. Well, we have read that sa Writers Magazine nga nag-edita ni na gani poetry workshop na Trifitin. I used to buy every copy then of sold in bookmark. carry mo sila itong kuan. They carried Writers Magazine. I made it a point to get a copy every issue of it. So, simple nga ni kanila ilang mga advice. Advices from older writers to young writers. Barry, there was one older writer, senior writer, advising one who wanted to be novelist. You know what the writer said? If you have something else to do, you do that, you live writing. James Michener said that. James Michener, ito sa source o sa Pacific, South Pacific. James Michener said that many times. If you have something else to do, I cannot quote him verbatim. Ito to, dili ko kakuha niya. Basta that's the sense of what he said. If you have something else to do it, you live writing. Don't write. If you have something else to do, don't write. Ang kanang mga advice, kanang music advice sa Writers Magazine, tabagang yun, mura ka na advice. There is no secret formula to writing. The secret formula is read, write, read, write, read, read. Prepare. Prepare yourself to receive rejection slips. Prepare. We came across that kind of advice so many times. So naaganin mo, sumay ko. There are rules. Pero writing is not like geometry, math, where there are formulas. If you can really get the formulas, and you can solve the problem, exact na. After you have answered the problem, using the formula, exact. You won't ask for what's the wisdom of this one. What's the depth? What's the insight? No. Ang literature, it looks for insight. Mukaut na. It has an extra dimension, kanang insight and depth. So, trigonometry, di man kami usapay depth, ano ba? Kanang literature, hinahian may mga kuan. Hinahian. Dami. Usapay nakaayo ang istorya, ha? Now, that question leads to looking for the insight, the depth of the piece. That's not found in trigonometry. Yes, trigo is hard. Math is hard. Algebra is hard. Especially advanced algebra. Pero, to me, literature is harder.
So,
Ay kuya, wait ay. Can ingon was if something else to know, especially something else better, ipon. Forget writing.
yeah.
Tingiga, kuya wa.
So, have you always dreamed of writing Thai?
I never had.
Yeah.
I only had a simple wish. I want to read.
Yeah.
Because dreaming is includes the idea of getting published later on. I did not have that idea. I just wish. When I see a pretty lady, it was short time, I will write balak-balak there. Balak-balak. Later, several years later, it developed. Oh, that gidakon sa ragat, Pop, kato na first prize sa Ludabi. Part of that, a big part of the story was a true happening. It happened to me. It happened to me more than 30 years after I wrote. 30 years before I wrote. Most of it was taken from memory ko. Kanumdum sa kada. Ito ang kuan. That impressed Marcel. Marcel, have you read Hemingway? What Hemingway works? Old man disin ko, nga naman, Noy, Marcel, siya, sama ka, nagat ka daw. Nga naman, ngiga ni istoryahan mo, karugog basa sa ingon ni istorya mo, kung anda, kanis dagat. Ko, Noy, part of that is my experience. Many of the scenes that happened to me, ang uban, invented na, crafted na, contrive ng uban, contrive. Pero, consistent yan, mayabag. Tinuod dito, nangawat ko lang dito sa eskwelahan si Bugon. Kaya ubang kong I wanted to imitate those old, kaning spear bitaw nga, ano, mana ito sunasan. Gubat ko ito, ngita tag sudan ito sunasan, uban-uban ko. Sunod ko. Nangawat ko alambre sa kural sa eskwelahan dito si Bugon, lupisay na. Itong napriso mi. Napriso mi, kabalyero. Sa napriso, kabalyero. Wala kural ba? Wala, pre, tugo. Tubo pa ron. Nga man siguro lang, pre. Samad ko. Basta ko ang ihap na itong Laurian ko. Gi ko ang Laurian nga, initiation to. Initiation ko. Nagkadugo ko.
Thank you very much, Sir Tem, for having this interview with us and for sharing those golden words of yours. And we hope to read more of your works. So I hope you have learned a lot from Tatay Tem's interview. And that's it. So this is Kitty Marie Cabunilas.